Good evening to all the panelists. I just wanted to confirm if I'm audible to you, sir.
Yes, Manish, I can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. A very good evening to all our esteemed panelists, faculty, alumni, and students. I, G. Manish, along with my colleagues Mrinal Banerjee and Swapnil Gupta, on behalf of the Industry Interaction Committee, IIM Kashipur, welcome you all to the third edition of Vishleshan, the annual analytics conclave. The theme of the conclave is pioneering digital transformation through data-driven evolution. In today's rapidly evolving landscape, digital transformation is paramount for the success of organizations across industries. This conclave dwells into the pivotal role that data-driven evolution plays in pioneering this transformation. Embracing data-driven strategies is the compass guiding companies through the dynamic digital realm, enabling innovation, enhancing efficiency, and ensuring sustainable competitiveness. Businesses that recognize the significance of data-driven evolution are better positioned to not only survive but thrive in the ever-evolving business landscape. This theme underscores the imperative for organizations to pioneer digital transformation through data, ensuring their relevance and success in the future. So, in order to gain insights and perspectives of successful industry executives, we have five accomplished leaders from reputed corporations with their expertise to enlighten us today. I take this opportunity to welcome our panelists, and we look forward to an informative and energetic evening with you all. Now, I request Swapnil to introduce our esteemed panelists.
So thank you, Manish. To begin with, I would like to introduce our first speaker of the day, Mr. Amit Dhawan. He has 23 plus years experience in the IT, information security, and privacy domains. In his present role, he is accountable for the Quantiphi's responsible AI initiative, role management, cybersecurity, privacy journeys, and ensuring continuous delivery to all customers. Before Quantify, he was a CISO, VP at Debnath, and has also served in leadership roles in JP Morgan and American Express, driving technology, controls, and leading the infosec practices. He is an armed forces veteran, retired from the Indian Navy as a commander in 2014. We are really honored to have you, sir, today with us.
Thank you.
Uh,
Pleasure is all mine.
our second eminent panelist for the today is Mr. Bikramjit Debnath. He is currently the Director, Head of Digital and Innovation Portfolio at Microsoft India. He has 20 years of experience in cloud, AI architecture, sales strategy, and analysis across various verticals in various roles across Microsoft, and prior to that in CK Birla Group and Cognizant. He has also executed special turnaround projects in distributed roles reporting to group company CEOs, mostly around sales and marketing for the group companies. We are looking forward to hear from you, sir, and we welcome you. And we are also really grateful to welcome our other panelist, Mr. Rahul Jain. He is currently the Chief Technological Officer at OLX Autos Global, and he also derived as the Director at Engineering and Product OU. He possesses a wealth of experience and a strong educational background from UK Berkeley. He has effectively guided expansive global teams in He has effectively guided expansive global teams in the development of cutting-edge products that address intricate business challenges. His expertise lies in conceptualizing and delivering highly available, distributed, and scalable solutions, including consumer-facing platforms that have gained significant traction in global markets. I would now like to invite Mrinal to introduce the other panel members. Over to you, Mrinal.
Signal. With that, our fourth panelist for the day is Mr. Vinamra Vikram Vishal. He is the Senior VP and Head of Customer Experience Analytics at Z, where he enhances the user experience at Z5 globally through insights, predictive analytics, and digital experiments. He collaborates with top executives to drive digital transformation and supports data strategy. With over a decade at American Express, Sir had a diverse background. He excelled in credit and fraud risk management, where he led policy development for customer credit throughout the acquisition, cross-selling, lending, and collection phases. He also headed teams focusing on digital experimentation and insights for automated chat and app user experiences. With that, we are honored to have you, sir, today with us.
Thank you, team. Looking forward to this interaction, team.
Thank you, sir. Our fifth panelist for the day is Mr. Shiv Kumar. He is a data, AI, and a technological professional with a strong background in in driving digital and AI transformation in various industry and consulting firms. He's a pro at integrating data and analytics to fuel organizational growth and has a knack for creating strategies that guarantee solid return on data and analytic investment. His passion lies in mentoring budding data scientists and making complex analytics more understandable for business decision makers. His expertise in the field was recognized in 2022 when he was named one of the India's top 100 AI leaders by Analytics India magazine. With his extensive experience and accomplishment, Sir is one of our esteemed guests for the event. A very warm welcome to all the panel members over here. Now over to you, Swapnil.
Yeah, thank you, Vinamra. So before moving on to the exciting discussions ahead, I would like to acquaint the panelists with the flow of the event. Today, I will be posing the questions, and then the floor will be open for all the panelists to share their thoughts, post which there will be a Q&A session where the students will be present asking the question. Okay. But since a thought certainly comes to my mind upon seeing all the eminent panelists that analytics is a microscope for business, revealing hidden insights and empowering data-driven decisions. Bridge from the information to the transformation. With this quote and a hope for a fruitful discussion, let us move forward with the session. So, as we all know, with the increasing reliance on AI, there's a growing emphasis on ethical considerations and regulatory frameworks also to ensure fair and responsible use. So I would like to ask all the panelists that what are your views on this? What can we do regarding this as a society? And how is your company tackling this issue?
Hi, Swapnil, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I was having some audio issue when you were introducing. Good evening, and thank you for having me here. Good evening to the panel members as well as to the IIM team. I'll probably make an attempt to answer the first question that you posed at us. See, I come from Microsoft, and here we help our customer to build intelligent apps with AI. And with the announcement of OpenAI this year, AI has been a big theme for this year. And with that, at this dawn of this era, we believe that as customers are adopting more and more AI, and AI is growing because of the growth of data as well as growth in the computing power that we have, there are three imperatives that are going to be very important for every organization to seize the full potential of it, as well as having the safeguard. So the three things are: number one, adopting unlocking the potential of AI with Copilot. Copilot is a concept that we as Microsoft have introduced. And what we are doing is we are bringing in AI. Our mission is to make AI available to everyone, every individual, and to give them practical uses of AI so that their daily life can be improved. And we are putting it into every product that we have across the spectrum. So that's the first imperative that we are going ahead with. The second one is we are helping customers to build their own AI. Now that is very interesting area because this is where we are bringing in framework like one of the best AI infrastructure in the world, one of the most well integrated AI toolkit, and then we are giving it to the customers to build something on their own. But as they're doing it, we are bringing in lots of tools and technologies so that they can build and deploy AI applications with all the ethical considerations, with all the privacy, with all the security and all the guardrails around it. And that's where comes the third aspect, which is safeguarding their data. And I think your question was around that. As everybody is adopting AI, what are the ethical implications of it? And what is your company doing about it? And what should the society do about it? So the first question, what is our company doing about it in this area? We have been thinking really deeply and hard about it. And we came up with a couple of core principles. So there are 4 things that are needed. 4 building blocks when it comes to AI safety. Number one, the principles that we follow, the corporate standards that we have, how we do the implementation, and how we put oversight. On the principle side, there are 6 principles that we have. I'll just give 4 examples. The first principle is fairness. So it's about removing bias from the data and the model and the training that we have. The second one is about reliability and safety. So it's about designing system, human-centric design, as well as putting human in the loop, so that the system that we're building are safe for people to use. It shouldn't cause harm. Fine. Then the other principle is around privacy and safety. So this is where putting privacy by design and making sure that the users have control around the data that it is collecting, and so on. So this is what we are doing as Microsoft as a company. But I think when you look at the social side as well, right? And in the society, Number one thing, fostering digital literacy around this ethical AI is very important. It will include it. We need to have individuals to have a robust understanding of AI, its potential implications, and the ethical considerations. And it will also need a collaboration between academia, industry, government, like the conversations that we are having today, as well as the civil society, which will shape a balanced regulatory framework so that we promote innovation while safeguarding our values. We build technology to serve all the humanity and not just a select few. That's all.
Hi everyone. Just like Vikram, also I was also facing some issues with my audio, so I think I was also able to at least share my gesture of thanks for inviting me for this conversation. So I just adding on top of what Vikram has already said, I think like additional piece that has still happened that has recently happened now is DPDP, which is like the recent data privacy laws that Indian government has also started or just launched. I think it has created a good framework, which is actually intended to what GDPR, or which is the privacy law dictated by European Council. I think it is also very similar. So now I think that will start. So initially the onus was more about customers knowing what they are signing up for, and what is the information. Now, corporates are also equally liable, at least in India now, so that they also have to follow certain practices which will ensure better securities and better practices about the data that is available, or how the data is actually being used. So I think definitely literacy about the data is actually very important. In my organization, I think what we follow is human-centric design, which is I think very, very important, because AI is becoming so powerful right now that on one side it can really help to take faster and efficient decisions, but actually because of certain biases, ultimately AI is actually being driven via the data that we are feeding it into. So there are a lot of biases into that data, and hence I think putting human-centric design, or at least ensuring that there is an override mechanism, or there's always a last check on certain mission-critical decisions. So that is what even we are adopting while building our system.
Thank you. If any other panelists want to add over this?
Hey, this is Shiv here. Thank you. Sorry, anybody is going ahead?
Yeah, Shiv, I'll just give me a minute.
Go ahead,
So we have a responsible AI as a function in the organization. Okay, so I belong to Quantiphi. Quantiphi is a AI ML digital engineering company. So we primarily deal with all things related to artificial intelligence, machine learning, and serve a lot of customers at different spaces. So we have created an ethics board from a practical standpoint. We have created a workflow kind of structure that any project that we do will go through these considerations of artificial intelligence. It will go through a basic framework of 4 questions. Does it harm humans? Does it harm, does it remove some rights from humans? Like, loans, etc., or, availability of medical functionality to people. So there are a set of 4 questions like this. Do you require human to take decisions on behalf, or will the machine take the decisions on itself? So something like this, and they then determine, then go into what Bikram mentioned, the principles of this, and we work on this slide. And then there is an ethics board in case of an exception, or how do we go around it. We've created the checklist on how people should work, so that none of those things are activated and come to the end users. Okay, so back to you.
Right, thanks a lot. This is Shiv here, and thank you for opening up the floor, Vikram. Very exciting thought. Definitely, see, we are a consumer product company, and we call ourselves as a beauty tech organization. And imagine that many of the personal information flows into the ecosystem, and definitely with the shared thought process, bringing framework, technology, we are very conscious in terms of for what we are processing the data. It should not be just a profitability angle, but definitely we keep the societal view that how you're going to each customer individually for their need and wants. So definitely we ensure that the data goes into the secure ecosystem. Data is processed locally into the country as per the regulatory framework we have. We ensure that your informations are lying only with the required teams and it is masked properly so that your individual identities are not revealed. So this is in a given context how we treat the data for individual. But if we call about what we can do as a society, so definitely this role goes beyond the kind of regulatory authorities. It has to be in the individual hands and the organization also, where we have to be conscious that what information we are going to share. Definitely in the today's world, you can't control much because every moment you are generating data, you are sharing your information. But make sure that you are at a right platform. You're not hooked into the some of the the wrong platform and apps that is in the market. So I think there has to be huge awareness that is going into the masses as well, along with the organization prepares for the safety and the security nets. So that's a last point from my side. Over to the moderator.
Thank you. If anyone wants to add, they can. Okay. So since we have seen that how AI is now being more opted by the customers, we also understood that how unlocking the potential of AI is being playing a very crucial role. We have also heard that how safeguarding the data is really important for the companies, focusing on principles, focusing on responsibilities. We got to know one very important thing that I got to know that it's how we treat it. Is it harming or not harming? That was a really good point. I think that so now going forward in the ever-changing realm of data analytics, businesses need to be proactive in investing new technologies and methodologies to remain competitive. We all know that. So, what do you think are the upcoming technologies and approaches that will make the biggest difference in the analytics in the next 5 years?
Okay, so I think I'll just connect from the previous discussion as well. So, see, the one of the area which is more in terms of low code, no code, which is becoming one of the key focus for every organization, because not everybody can become data scientists. So we are required to use the larger masses, and hence I feel that low code, no code with the explainable AI capabilities, this is going to be very transformational. Many individual can come in the mainstream, and it should not be the language or the capabilities of very restricted individual. So I feel that the power will be in the many individual hands. They would be like Vikram was sharing that we are creating AI for everyone. So definitely that is going to be power shared with the masses, and this will be transformational because the larger organization will not be dependent on the select data scientist and the few of the programmers to write the the models and algorithms. Also, I feel that as the computation and the algorithm becomes everyone's on everyone's plate, the now the usage, who is going to use is better, going to be the differentiator for the coming future. Definitely the capabilities like quantum computing, and think about many of the areas of research which is related to discovering the new molecules for the human treatment. So I think this is going to transform the computation time, computation capabilities, and many of the human problems can be solved faster at a much cost efficient way. So I think these are going to transform many industries, not only the few select, but it's going to be the bigger change in the coming time. Yeah.
Yeah. I think on top of what Shiv mentioned, so there is a burst of uh, applications adopting cloud, and I think that is probably a biggest booster of that why data is actually available at every place, and the cloud is actually really helping driving the adoption around data-driven applications as well. With more adoption of cloud, now I think people have access to high or heavy computations, right? And they can really play around with different things. They can do experimentations, be it healthcare or maybe supply chain or maybe it can be aerodynamics and all. So I think it has opened up the whole thing in a really accessible to everyone now. And the budding technologies, I think, as like always, artificial intelligence, which is specifically like generative AI, LLM, large language models have started becoming really, really popular and actually has become mass adopted. But apart from that, I think one more thing where I believe, which can be really going to be an emerging technology, is edge computing, because with the adoption of mass IoT and or hardware and software combination sort of devices, now data is available at every damn point, right? So now what we need is maybe much better and maybe much more sophisticated capabilities to capture data from different sources, which can generate, which can not only make your businesses more efficient, but also open up new avenues of different opportunities for the business, because now the data is actually available from a hardware sources as well. So edge computing, AI, ML, LLM technologies, definitely, like Shiv mentioned, quantum computing and all, I think are some of the very strong technologies that are going to change the way analytics use cases are popping up. But if I talk about the real right now, like probably the base case is self-serve. Like everybody is using self-serve, different sort of applications that are available because of the cloud adoption. So yeah, that's my side of it.
I think I'll just add by saying that what electricity did to humankind in early 1900s, AI is going to do this to us in this generation. It is going to become part of our life and in everywhere. Let it be wearables, your sensors, automotive. It is going to be everywhere. So the same impact which electricity had on our lives, AI is going to have that kind of impact in our lives in the coming years. And I didn't say this, it's Andrew Ng's statement.
Okay, sir, for sure. If any other panelist wants to add something, please. Okay. So as we know that earlier, very earlier, humans were the most responsible for each and everything. Then there came a time when human plus machine were responsible for everything. But from this whole discussion, what I got to know that now it's the time for human plus machine plus algorithm. So now moving forward to our other question, that introducing certain responsibilities in this, that how responsible development and deployment of artificial intelligence require a unified effort. Means let's discuss how governments, businesses, and research institutes can work together to establish an ethical guidelines that transcend borders and industries. So how can the collaboration between government, businesses, and research institutions be strengthened to create effective and globally applicable ethical guidelines for the development and deployment of artificial intelligence?
So if the panel allows, I can volunteer for this question. Am I audible to you and Swapnil, and if you can confirm?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Sure. So I think we need to understand the role of the three bodies into our life. So definitely the business solves the human problem, connecting to the business. So business is the, we can define as a balance sheet. So mostly our focus would be, solving any problem with respect to how it is going to benefit the company P&L, and definitely with ethics and with all the core values that we embed into our organizations. However, the core focus would be timely solution and bringing the, either efficiencies, either the cost leadership or the revenue as our framework whenever industry solves a problem. And if we try to understand the research role, or the research and academic bodies role, so they are not pressurized to drive the profitability, and hence I feel that the role for the academic institution and researchers should be and going to be very long term. They do not have immediate quarter, month, and the half yearly and annual financial and P&L pressure. So I think they can do the justice to the problem statement, which is for the mankind and for the society. In a long run, they can identify few problems and they can focus on. Definitely, there are many problems. We as an industry also invite the research institution to solve together, because definitely in industry you don't get time to go through hundreds of research papers. However, if you go to academic world, possibly all the researchers and the professors, they would have time to go through the many of the core problems and what have gone into the entire research in the past, and you can build the framework and the guidelines which industry or the many of the bodies can go and utilize it. So I feel that research institution can really help us visualizing, finding, and framing the problems, which is short to long run in nature, and they can go beyond the profitability view keeping in their mind. Now the question comes on the government. Government, I feel, in my view, is that it's a balancing body. So, for example, research can take millions of dollars of investments. They should definitely be in the benefit of the society. Businesses can solve the immediate human problem and create a business model and drive the economic engine for their organization. However, they should not be able to exploit or infringe any individual's life or the human rights or the basic need or the discrimination that can happen in the society. So definitely in the space of when the AI, data, technology all are evolving, I feel that all the three bodies have a very complementary role to play. And there's a great synergy if we identify one problem and we would like to share our roles and responsibilities. And I think the best of the research and best of the industry can be created if you have a right algorithm and right the frameworks in place. So I think the best example can be the Google itself, which has started with a PhD thesis and now we know where it has reached. So I think the research has a very critical role which can be very pivotal in terms of bringing up the future for the mankind and the entire human existence. Business can definitely bring, like I really connect what Microsoft, Ola, and even Quantiphi. I have been user of their some of the solutions at some point in time. So I can say that organization can definitely bring efficiencies on those research, and the government should bring a balancing framework and more accountability, governance around the different bodies what we do. So that's a view from my side, and feel free to share from the panel, I think, your exciting views on this.
If any other panelist wants to add to this.
Actually, one thing from the regulation in the government side. So now this is like a startup. The AI that we're seeing right now is like a startup, and the regulation here can have a stronghold on it, right? So we have seen in some of the Scandinavian countries the reaction to OpenAI, and the perceived threat it causes to job losses. I kind of appreciate the stand that India has taken. India has allowed the OpenAI to bloom, right? And they have, taken a piecemeal approach because it's not still an elephant. It's just a startup. It's growing. It will grow only when the correct environment is provided to it, right? There are threats, of course, right? So we alluded to the data protection bill, right? There are clauses in which you could safeguard if somebody anonymously reposted a false information that trended, let's say, on a social media platform, right? So there were clauses of let's say avoidance, which government could not act on with the previous IT rule. The government will take a strong hold on those positions, of course, but open AI per se, and the stand the government's taken has very akin to what they took with fintech as well, right? In the various standing years, we can argue they took two steps backward with RBI, and then two steps forward, but like in this case, we really appreciate the stand the Indian government has taken, and versus some of the governments in the Scandinavian countries have taken, right? So that would be one of my point of view, right? The second is, of course, on self-regulation as well, right? And that is the impetus of the companies. Shiv did talk about profitability at the core. The losses could be phenomenal as well, right? So of a breach, and the act of using OpenAI and any misses thereof can have a catastrophic influence on the downside as well, right? So I'm sure businesses will take a self-governance rule regardless. But I'll pause here and we can add more to it.
If any of the panelists wants to add to this. Okay. So now I think that I have taken one opportunity to ask questions. Now I would like to give the opportunity to Manish to please ask the question.
So, sir, in this increasingly data centric world, businesses are at the cusp of a transformation. So, the future of management and business decision making is poised to be revolutionized by the power of data analytics and artificial intelligence. So, how do you envision the future of business and management in a data centric world? And what are the key opportunities and challenges you see on the horizon? And how can data driven strategies help us navigate the evolving landscape?
Uh, so let me take this question, Manish. From my perspective, like these are terms, right? Data informed, data driven, data centric, you know. But we need to classify and reclassify them into what they mean, right? So, what is data informed? You have a piece of data, you're noting it down. I'm noting on my BP rate, let's say, just monitoring it and taking informed decision on how my health is right now. Yeah. What is data driven, right? Data driven is almost like I'm monitoring, predicting, taking futuristic approaches, and then also taking input from other health parameters and then cross correlating in how my health is spanning out to be, right? That data driven. You can argue that bulk of the companies are data informed, right? In the days and age of data, right? Bulk of them have huge amounts of data. They might be acting in silos into departments, but they're taking data informed decisions in silos, right? N number and more of companies on the top of it are also data driven, right? We have ML and AI based use cases in companies. Talk about response models, right? Talk about user targeting. Talk about customer segmentation. Who is not doing that, right? So call about call prioritization for a collection call from a Bajaj or otherwise, yeah. So they are taking actions on data as a deductive source of truth and in silos, right? What data centricity means is like entirely different concept, right? Data literally it means data as a center, but you can keep data as a center of a warehouse or a data lake for the enterprise and still not empower data to become a data as a product, data as a service, data as a platform, data as an value driver for the organizations. Examples of which could be personalization from Netflix. Examples of which could be, let's say, recommendation engine from an Amazon. Yeah. Examples of which could also be some of the use cases on credit lifecycle at American Express. Yeah. So data as a transformer, right? Some of it, what we have also taken in our enterprise is around data as a lever for design and consumption. We are designing for Bharat, right? We are devising an app for the Bharat, right? It's multitude of customers. You have a customer on a very high end iOS phone, browsing at with the Wi-Fi internet connectivity in the metro area. Persona A versus persona B in the hinterlands, let's say northeast regions, West Bengal, etc., and in the hinterlands of West Bengal, let's say, and on a Panasonic phone, on a maybe a 3G network, etc., etc., right? They have similar expectations, or at least in terms of consumption, and then we have to provide an attenuated customer experience to them, right? Which they deserve, right? And all of this bakes into data centricity. If data is in silos, then you're optimizing design for a design at a layer and then experience at another layer, right? And then the video experience is the third layer, right? So it's all connected. So hence my belief, but this is just a level of data as centricity. The next is data as a product and empowerment, much like what OpenAI is doing for Microsoft and Google, right? So currently, right? So data as a product, so it leverages and scales. It is available on cloud. It is ubiquitous. Everybody can leverage by paying a rent on top of it, right? Then it becomes data as a product and service, and it becomes a monetization element for the organization. So that's what it means, right? And how do we get there? Is obviously we start from collecting data to reaching a cultural sensitivity on it, making data as a multiplier, a force multiplier for your platform. As a capability, always a force multiplier, but data as a force multiplier for your own platforms and companies, and then reducing something what the industry needs. Yeah. and then acting on top of it. Yeah.
So I'll just give you guys some examples that we are using in the company. Okay, on a lighter note, we've started building small apps to take care of this. One of the app that we built is not using data as data. Uh, we are recording the meetings that is happening with the development teams, passing it to LLMs, scrapping out all pleasantries, good morning, how are you, and all that nonsense. Just capturing the elements which talk about software development. Okay. Using that data, passing it to another LLM to build the code for us. Okay. This is an interesting use case that we are building, and the app is almost ready for internal use. Developers, I don't know how many of you are from that environment, but you develop and see, this is how, it should look like, this is how the UI should look like, and this color and all that thing, and this is the functionality. You just pass it on and leverage the data in that perspective. And yes, there are other use cases of refactoring and all those things, but this was something interesting, and I thought, let me, do this. Second is customer interactions. You have people who speak to customers, and most of you will be from sales or that kind of interaction. Customer sentiment analysis. So you take out the presentations that you share with your customers. You do a recording of, take out a transcript of the meeting and push it through your sentiment engine, and then derive what actions need to be taken. If customer says Amit Dhawan is the most useless guy in your team, it should go to HR to say, Amit Dhawan is not performing well, fire him from this team. So, you can create a complete value chain from the data, which is captured in a very different way. It is not data as data, but captured in a very different way. So this is something that, we are working on, but not on data, but different kind of data.
And I would like to add to what Vinamra, Shiv, and Amit had said. See, we are seeing this platform shift that's happening because of OpenAI that has come. And as a result of it, there are two new capabilities that just came to the world that didn't exist before to the level of quality that we have today. Number one is a natural language interface. And number two is a completely new reasoning engine. We always had AI. AI it's not new, right? We had AI with many different capability around perception, cognition, and all of it. But now what we are seeing is all the apps that are getting built, the existing apps that the customer has, or the new apps that they're envisioning, there are 4 new capabilities that they are adding, which was not possible to add before. So this answers your question. How is our business, how is our management going to change into this new data-driven world, into this new AI-driven world, right? These 4 new capabilities are going to come, which will impact business and management. Number one capability is ability to have a natural language interface for every app. For last 50 years, the interaction with anything like a computer did not change. It used to be either through a keyboard or through a mouse or through a screen, and you have to type. This, for the first time, we have a new interface to interact with all the apps, that is natural language interface. And now this app has these 3 capabilities: creative thinking, creative writing, and complex reasoning. Now, their ability to reason over huge amount of data has completely gone to a new level. So this is going to impact every app that is out there, every business profession, and every management profession that is out there.
Sir, are there any other opinions on this question, sir? Are we moving forward?
I can just add a few bits here. So definitely, as the data becoming the language in the business now, the days are gone when you can come and say that, hey, I know who are my buyers without looking at the lot of information that is already captured in the system. So I see like I had 2 transformation roles, and there I see even at a leadership, there has to be a lot of culture and the knowledge building, and possibly the transition and momentum which is now there. There's not the now need you need to sell that this we can do using data better and more efficiently, but possibly the appreciation has to be built more with the leadership as well. And if they buy into the idea, the transformation or the digital drive becomes much more effective to bring it down to the larger masses. So imagine that if I'm a sales consultant working in a remote area in Madhya Pradesh, and now you're telling me there is an AI app or tool which is going to help you what you should sell to which shop or your dealer and distributor, right? So from where this trust and confidence is going to come, so possibly it has to translate it and communicate it back from top down as well. So I feel that there's a strong need, and the investment has to go in building the leadership drive also to understand data driven world, and then how they can do better into the ecosystem by leveraging data and algorithm. Definitely the culture is the biggest differentiator, because in coming time, imagine the data what you are capturing, possibly your competitor is going to capture the similar data. The algorithm which is now open source, so it means that I am also getting the exposure to the similar algorithms and computational efficiency is what my competitor is going to get, right? So the real differentiator is now how you build the whole backbone of your organization, which buys into the idea of data-driven decision making, either what Vinamra has also talked about, and building data as revenue stream or data as product itself, right? So I think these are the big transformation, because buying technology, getting software, getting algorithms and data scientists are the easier part of the problem. But the biggest part is that how your larger ecosystem buys into this idea and concept. So I think as we progress in data centric transition, these preparedness on the human angle are required. And definitely the differentiator for tomorrow is not the data, not the algorithm. It is actually people behind us. It's actually the management behind it, and the vision who are building for their businesses. They are going to be the key role player, and that's the challenge and opportunity for the future of businesses.
I
Over
think
to you.
that reminds me of the effort that we were putting actually for last couple of years in our organization, because we found that specifically product and technology people, they are pretty comfortable with the AI and ML and these kind of capabilities, and even the potential or the things that may happen because of this, right? Uh, but uh, but I think the literacy about these things were pretty low, ironically, because I think I'm from a technology background, so it is always tough for me to even assume that hey, people don't even understand that. But reality is that I think there are cases where people who can really influence the strategy of the company, they don't even understand, not because of any wrong reason, but because of their own scope of things that they are grossed into. But I think it is very, very important for them to understand, and that's where we started a concept called data literacy in our organization, where we ran multiple different programs in our organization, where we said that hey, everybody has to do these basic level of programs, basic level of courses, to even understand that what they can even expect from the capability that are already out in the market. And because of which I can easily see in my organization now that people are day to day on in their day to day work as well, they are pretty comfortable in adopting new technologies, talking about the real potential use cases of data driven setups. Data driven decision making has becoming really, really important for us now. People don't debate that hey, this design is better than this design, but they'll always talk about hey, let's do a A/B testing. And that was like a really pleasant change in my organization, because I belong to an e-commerce organization where millions and millions of people come and see our different experiences, where people debate that hey, this experience looks better than this, but now people just say that hey, let's put it in production, and let's create a proper A/B test framework and A/B test scenario around that, and try and see that hey, which capability or which specific functionality will win, right? So I think I totally agree, and thanks a lot for actually reminding of the effort that we put, and I can see the benefits of doing that.
Yeah, I think just the last bit, Rahul, I think it's not a common program, but imagine there has to be foundations which everybody should know, at least the minimum knowledge. Then you should have for your larger masses, then you should have for your leadership. So I think this momentum has to be everywhere, because that's what is required when computation technology and everything is there in the market.
So that was quite an interesting discussion on that.
Did we lose Manish?
No, I think so.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
I think Manish has lost on network only. Okay, so definitely he might be telling that it was an amazing discussion. So now, till the time Manish came, I should lead forward. So as industries and governments race to harness AI's potential, we must consider the complexities establishing shared ethical standards. Our conversation today explores the path towards global collaboration in AI ethics. Again, I am thinking the concept of ethics is coming because it's really important, as we all know. So now the question is that given the global nature of AI development, how can international collaboration be enhanced to establish a unified set of ethical standards for AI, which everyone will follow, every country will follow, and every company will follow? How it's going to happen?
Uh, I doubt that will happen. Let me start with that. Right. I just took the example of the diverse example of how Scandinavia took the versus how India took it. Right. On the regulation itself. Right. We are in age of de-dollarization. We are in age of, let's say, de-globalization. Let's say partially, I don't know fully, but let's say we are headed there, right? And there will be blocks, there will be challenges in proliferation of technology, etc., depending on which country you are part of. We saw the vaccine apartheid very recently. So we are not very 100% sure how it will happen, right? A standardization and a protocol will happen. Think about electricity being generated from solar energy, right? That technology but not being shared. India put down on the WTO forum, right? Making a solar alliance. So yeah, so these are all examples I'm giving you. Is this is also a piece of technology which is monetizable, transformative, etc., right? And has wide impact on the social life in terms of jobs, automation, job creativity, and losses, etc. Let's say, let it put it this way, right? We don't have concrete evidences it will lead to job losses, but there is at least a perceived thought in the mind of the political leaders, and they act on and you know how they act on it. So they act on senses and impulses of the masses and how they feel about things. So it's not going to happen in my view anytime soon. All that can happen is they could be platforms of engagement, right, on which people can engage and share, let's say, constructively share in order to gain. Let's say healthcare is a field, right, where they can share more information and make medicine more available. Telemedicine, teleeducation, and impact of AI in those directions could be taken on humanitarian ground. But beyond that, I doubt it will happen.
So Shiv here, I think Vinamra has triggered some thoughts. I never prepared my answer on this. So let me tell you, I think let's talk about the human nature. So I feel that whenever a crisis comes, we unite and we try to solve it. So think about the situation of our, the global, now the sensitiveness towards the environment, right? So we have started creating the open forums, open platform to share the ways we are going to do business, how we are going to be carbon neutral, how we are going to reduce our carbon footprints into the, with respect to our individual industry and individual life as well, right? And we are getting sensitive towards it. Right now, I feel that definitely AI is, the birth to now it is at the teenager stage. It is growing, and I feel that this is yet to see the adult times where still we have human in loop, which is a good thing. But let's say we get more dependent on the algorithm, AI, and so on. That will definitely call that we can avoid the big disasters or the challenge to the mankind. So definitely this is very creative, and it has triggered imagination actually, and hence I'm trying to imagine what may happen. So I feel that maybe it can happen. Definitely it is happening now at a country level, right? Every country is now sensitive towards it. Maybe the forums like World Economic Forums and the many of the the like BRICS and the economic zones that we have, they will come together uh, in future for sure, as you see the momentum coming up. So you imagine that there is a child has come to teenager age, and now it will grow to the adult time, and then your ways of management will definitely be there, and people can come together to define the like we as a human. I think 95% of people do not want to harm. I'm taking a very rough estimate basis. My growing up times, they would not like to harm individual and people around us, right? So definitely on the tech AI, the definitely there's a the world of, and possibly Amit can elaborate more in the cyber dark net and so on. But definitely there would be some of the destructive minds, and but we will be still 90+% of the people protecting the world, right? So I think there would be harmonization. There would be some like uniform ways and methods to follow. Nowadays we are building many of the models which should avoid discrimination. Definitely there can be the human biasness, but the approach is to avoid it as much as possible. So this can emerge for sure. I'm very confident that will not go wrong with this evolution as well.
So Shiv and Vinamra, I think fantastic points, but just I think we cannot come to a common conclusion across the world. In India, if you tie a leash to a child, on his arm and hold his leash, it is considered ethically bad. But in US, it is permitted. Okay, you can go to a shopping mall and put a leash around your child so that he doesn't run around. It's a very, very legal thing. Stealing something is illegal in almost every country, but the context is different. California is now allowing you to take, I think, $20, $30 worth of stuff from a place, and it is not called stealing. Okay. So, the connotations and the tenor of different rules and regulations is different across the world. Cyber security, as Shiv mentioned, hacking into something is a crime. It's a very, very simple statement. I wrote, I think, about 15 years back that why can't we have some basic principles like murder, and other capital things? Why can't we have a common thing? If somebody is hacked into something, he should be bloody punished. But what is happening in lot of cases? You are setting up your servers in some country which is allowing you to do this. There are regulations coming up for AI now. Coming back to AI, the regulations. UNESCO was one of the first ones to come up with ethical AI principles. Surprisingly, EU has come up, but how it will evolve is every country will have their own regulations, and every country will define what is right for them, what is wrong for them, and then it will go into courtroom battles because no hacking case from another country across the border has ever been solved like this. There are countries whose economies are now, state-sponsored terrorism. So, or state, not terrorism per se, but state-sponsored hacking activities. There are a lot of countries whose economies are running on this. And, we in fact try to stop people. You all heard of Nigerian scam, and nothing against Nigeria. In fact, my brother-in-law works there, so it's a fantastic country. But, you get a call from Nigeria number, half of the time you're scared there is some scam. So every country is going to come up with something of their own. There will be global directives, regulations, talks in committees, educational exchanges, but nothing is going to come out of it. Every country has its own rules and they're going to work around that.
Very
It's an
interesting. I
interesting
think just a point on the
that
California
in
rule.
US,
Yeah. So California rule, I think they have done now the toothbrush like toothbrush prices at let's say $200. When you go at the counter, they'll discount you and make it a let's say $5 toothbrush, so that the stealing can be still caught. And then people are vacating that city. So definitely, if it goes beyond the human existence, something will come and settle it. But definitely, I was just a little bit excited to share. But thank you, Amit. Yeah.
actually, I'm also trying to support the same point. Just to make it much more interesting, I think it is not even about countries having or different countries having similar sort of, or at least same sort of laws. But I think even let's say in US, every state also have a different laws around ethical AI. So in California versus Illinois versus New York, all of these states have already come up with their own versions of ethical AI definitions. And I was just interacting with certain people in Bay Area and all, and they were actually worried that, hey, do I have to apply for a compliance for every state now? Because everyone is coming up with a very different sort of guideline. So yeah, I think it is very tough, very, very tough to build a common rule or common guidelines around that.
Is there any other panelist who wants to add to this?
I
Okay.
think you got a consensus view, right, from this, that in short term, definitely there is not going to be any collaboration because of tech nationalism, because of every country prioritizing their own domestic interest over international collaboration. Even if you come up with something unified, how do you enforce it? Every country has their sovereignty. So what we see, at least from our side in the long term, right? Over long term, some unified common understanding will come. However, whenever any organization or any country will need market access, and because of that market access, they have to follow those guidelines, like the way they have done for climate change, like the way they have done for pandemic, medicine, military affairs. That is when they will follow it. Countries who doesn't need to do it, somebody has to do it for their national security, they will not care two hoots about these global guidelines and do whatever they have to do.
Thank you, Swapnil, for asking that kind of a question, which created a little bit fun in the discussion. So with that understanding that the data is the heart of evolving business landscape, we now turn our attention to an insightful narrative where we examine the tangible impacts of data-driven strategy in an organization. So moving forward with the question in our minds, like in the era of digital transformation, data has become a valuable asset for businesses. Could you share an example of how a data-driven strategy has enabled your organization to adapt to a changing landscape and driven innovation? What are the key challenges you face in implementing this strategy?
Maybe I think maybe I can start with my thoughts, and others can also chime in. So, see, I think there are multiple use cases, and there are multiple things where why data is actually becoming so important. I think Amazons of the world, or even Walmart from their supply chain, Amazon from their recommendation engine, Netflix from their recommendation engine for movies, or Google from their ad, have already proved how they can utilize data to create a completely new sort of a business model and a high amount of value out of it, right? Following that, I think there are definitely a lot of reasons, and it varies based on the kind of problem that you are solving. For example, in case of marketplace, frauds can be a big issue, right? And understanding behaviors and behavioral patterns and all, and using data science to predict that what can be the possibilities around frauds is something that we regularly deal with, and we try and use a lot of different sort of to ensure that we can give a safe environment, safe experience to our customers. Similar to that, I think fintech is also actually struggling with a very similar sort of use case. Another thing which is very relevant, at least in our world, is risk modeling. Risk modeling, when I say risk modeling, I'm talking about credit risk modeling. Uh, I think heavily data driven based on the cohort of users that you are trying to target. You have to understand what is their credit worthiness, and I think it's a very complex problem to understand because there are like thousands of data points that are available that just can figure out that what is the right profile of a person. If I just talk about the complexities while implementing all of that, I think the complexity is that uh, uh, like when you try and build something, then you have to understand that it is not only customers who are going to use it, but I think you have to first evangelize that within your organization. Everybody has to understand that some people see it as a losing control machines. Some people will see this as a possibility that, hey, I am not able to understand that, hence I don't trust it. And people will come up and try and push you that, hey, I want to understand was made by machine. And then there are n number of dimensions which was taken care while that decision came up, right? So it is almost impossible to even replicate that and try and explain it, right? So I think that is more about data literacy and ensuring that people are comfortable using data science. And for that, I think just to conclude my thought, I think what we did was And actually, somebody also asked me this question that, hey, everybody wants to create a regression comparison that, hey, my human mind can see this. That is where I will only trust it, right? In organizations where there are like complex customers and complex level of stakeholders, I think you have to win this as a trust, where you have to go step by step, create different categories, prove your models are working fine, show success multiple times, try and increase cohort. So it is like gradually increasing the adoption of the model, and ensuring that your stakeholders start seeing the benefit out of it. It's something I think which is very, very important while you implement anything around data science world. Is something that uh, at least came up from my understanding. The balance.
Right. So I think if I can just add on Rahul some of the points. So definitely, means there is every area is transforming with the help of data, and there can be hundreds of use cases from this panel you may get. And I think I can tell you the biggest challenge would be that how you co-create with the business users. So possibly how you make them as a part of your development of solution when you are trying to go with a database solution. And I can tell you nowadays, either it is a sourcing or your how you can reduce to your time to market of your product with the help of the better and smarter algorithm and predictions and simulations. It can be towards the even the you design many contracts, and then how you identify those revenue capturing opportunities in your contracts using AI, doing those text analysis and all. So I think every area is transforming. One of the very core to my heart is, means in one of my role when I was looking at how down the line, 5 year, 10 year down the line, the different geographies would have usage of, the traditional energy sources. So for example, oil and gas. And if down the line, 5 year, 10 year, if they transition to the more green energy sources, then how we can calculate their return on invested capitals and compounded annual growth rate by predicting their demand and the prices of oil and gas down the line 5 and 10 year, and then building the portfolio that which of the market you would like to stay, which of the market you should sell out right away, so that you should not lose the big losses. You should not lose the big opportunity when they have already transitioned to the new energy usages. So I think every industry is transforming. I can tell you in the space of beauty, nowadays you can go and virtually apply many cosmetics and the colors, shades, and possibly you can take decision what is more suitable to you. So very exciting use cases which are transforming the life in business and the impact on the individual. However, the challenge is how you make a larger ecosystem as your co-creator, and you drive the stakeholder together when you build the solution and when you take on the ground. So I think that would be my some of key messages.
I can probably share some example from Microsoft side about how we are transforming in this data-driven world. All of you are aware that because of OpenAI coming in, we are changing every product that we have. So I'll now share with you that what are some of the innovations we are bringing in, and what are some of the challenges we are facing as we are doing that, right? Some of those behind the curtain things you may not be aware of. You would be only seeing the end product. So as an example, with AI, generative AI coming in every product, if you're using Teams, for example, if you're in a meeting like this, a 90-minute long meeting, at the end of the day, Teams will just summarize the entire minutes of meeting for you, as well as the action items, who has to do what. In case if you cannot join the meeting, you can catch up and do a recap, and Teams will give you the summary. It will scan through your entire mailbox and it will tell you that what are the top emails, what are the top actions, what are the top to-dos for you. If you're in Microsoft Word file, it will write the entire Word document for you. If you're in PowerPoint, you can just ask what you want. It will create the PowerPoint with the content as well as the graphics. If you're a GitHub Copilot user, it will go ahead and start writing the code for you. I've been selling it to pretty much all the developers in the country. Half of the developers are using it, 60% more productive. Not only coding, the testing, bug fixing. So all of that happening now, it is there in your Windows as well. But what had been the challenge on our side? See, building a product itself was a very difficult journey that Sam Elton and team had been doing it for almost 4 or 5 years. But when that algorithm, that product, that model was available, it was not so easy to take it to our customers. We just figured out a new product, a new capability, but taking it to enterprise customer, convincing them that this model has been built and trained on data which has the legal right, the ethical right to be used by human and machine for training. So imagine for 4 years the amount of legal process that we have to follow to make sure that the product that we are building, we're doing it the right way. We're doing all the right things. We're not crossing any legal boundary, any ethical boundary, following all international laws while we're doing that. Then now that we are taking the product to the customer post training, we have to convince them that their data is their data. Their data is being used in an encrypted manner. Their data is not being used to train the model. It is following all the security guideline, privacy guideline, every geography like GDPR we have in Europe, and every other country has their own regulations. Now for that, we have to make sure we are putting the right hardware in every country, in every geography. That requires GPU, billions and billions dollars of additional investment. This has its physics delay. This has its monetary and financial delay. It is extremely difficult. Now, while on the one side, we have a great opportunity because of the data, because of the technology, we came up with a great innovation. Taking that innovation to all the people in the world, it's mind-bogglingly difficult. It is being difficult because we are trying to do it the right way, right? Following all the guardrails. And what we are also trying to do, we are sharing all our learning with the customer who are trying to build their own generative AI, their own LLM, because it's not just going to be an engineering challenge. There's going to be so many other challenges that they will come and face as well. So we're taking those learning to our customers to make them aware of it as well.
Any other thoughts? If we can have it.
And by the way, someone
So moving further.
power. Sorry, just interesting point. Someone talked about power. Very interestingly, all the innovation, huge impact on the power consumption. In fact, that is the reason you see we are putting so much focus on becoming carbon neutral, becoming green. Just this morning, there was a news that Microsoft would be the largest jet fuel buyer in the world because we have a massive power problem on our hand because we made an innovation on AI. And you see so much of growth that's happening on the NVIDIA stock because of the innovation we did. So the world is now so interlinked. Technology, one decision that we make as leaders has such huge consequence and impact. So I think that it's a very interesting question and thoughts around it.
Sure.
So with that, we can move ahead. Like in an increasing data-centric world, businesses are at the cusp of transformation. The future of management and decision-making is poised to transform by the power of data analytics and artificial intelligence. So with that learnings, how do you envision the future of business and management in a data-centric world? And what are the key opportunities, challenges in that horizon? And how can a data-driven strategies help to navigate this evolving landscape?
Didn't you ask that question?
I think we have answered this question because I think we had a different moderator at that time. So.
Yes.
Yes, sir, that was best. So, let me be selfish and ask something very specific to us, sir. So, what advice or key takeaways would you like to share with our MBA students here today? What are the essential skills and strategies that should focus on to excel in the world of data-driven businesses? And how can they practice on these opportunities and challenges that lie ahead in their careers?
I think, I'll just take a stab at it. See, the traditional model of building things, innovative things, building things, and then taking it to the market or, solutioning for your own internal self. Now, that piece is very, very easy thanks to Bikram and Chat GPT. Those things are very, very easy. With cloud helping you with on demand and constraints on capacity and processing, etc. The only thing now that is lacking is innovation and effort to do this. And I'll just reiterate Narayan Moti's statement that came yesterday. All youngsters should work at least 70 hours a week. I've been telling my son also, he's in final year engineering. and he was laughing at me yesterday that that's not possible. So, the innovation part, the tools are available to you guys. Uh, think what you can, look at the problems, look at the processes that you see all around you, and get into this, because this is a huge place. Innovation easing your work. It is not that every one of you 395, I think, people here, all of you are going to have startups. So uh, get into this, solve problems that come your way in your normal office, around your home. Look at all these solutions. Building solutions is so easy with this. So think on those lines of solving problems, going the traditional way of thought process, but using the current tools in hand. I think that is something that you guys should use, and the capabilities are infinite.
Thanks, Amit.
I think
Yes.
yeah, Vikram, you want to go ahead?
No, Vinamra, go ahead, please.
Okay. Just one input from a data, progress perspective, right? There are various horizontal and vertical skills, right? The future demands us to be more T-shaped now. So if you're venturing to become a hardcore data scientist without the data engineering and how to plug in the pipelines of data, etc., that kind of understanding, then future looks bleak, right? Because you need to have a coupled understanding of how to deploy those models to production. There are a lot of autopilot structures available, but the model should perform in production as well, right? So that level of understanding should be there. And while you're starting at campus, you're not expected to have all those understanding pieces up at the start of your career, but you want to start with something first. But you are expected to build in the medium to short term a kind of a T-shaped skill in terms of either MLOps and data science, or data engineering and data science. Kind of that's where the world is headed, and that's how data leadership are looking forward in individuals, so that they can work as a team or charters, whatever way the organization is set up.
Thank you. So I'll go ahead and add and probably share something that I have been sharing with the developers a lot. Like I told you, since some of the innovation came, we have been on the road for last 6 months, educating pretty much half of India, starting from the boardroom to CXOs. But a lot of time we spent with the engineers and the architects, because they are the one who are at the forefront of implementing this technology and understanding a lot. And one of the questions that we got a lot is that with AI coming in, the programming jobs were impacted pretty badly. So almost 50 to 60%. Even the version 1.0 of the AI product that we had was pretty good in automating code writing, right? And then with the version 2 and the version 3.0 on the way, there was a big question as I was doing sessions across the ITES companies, room full of 4,000, 5,000 developer. One of the questions that was top of their mind. So what does it mean for us? What should be the guidance for us? How do we make our career technology safe for next 10 years? And when we extrapolated this, as we spoke to the business team in many companies, I think the answer is broadly in the similar theme. Number one is that the disruption is already here. Technology is disrupting work in a way that the definition of work is changing. Work used to be those activities that couldn't be automated fully. Everything that could have been, especially the muscle work, had been automated with machines. It was the brain work that could not be automated fully. And hence there was a lot of work that was available. Now with the technology disruption that is coming, that kind of white collar work as well will be automated to a significant extent. And in the next 10 years, the possibilities are just mind boggling. Now, in this kind of scenario, what can you do to make your career technology safe? Number one, it is becoming very clear for us that AI is not going to replace jobs, but a person using AI will do. Because that AI would be working as a multiplier for that individual, right? Now, who are those candidates or professionals who would be able to multiply their ability significantly by using AI? What are the qualities they have to have so that they can multiply it very effectively? Number one is domain knowledge. it is not technology knowledge. Technology knowledge is a table stake. You have to have tech savviness, which you are already doing right now, right? So keep that up. Be a student of technology for rest of your life. But one thing that is going to be extremely important in the era of this technology disruption going forward, more and more tech skill is going to be automated. And you have to be a very good driver of those technology to use it to be productive. And you won't be able to do that successfully if you don't understand the business that you are working on. Whichever company you are working for, whichever function you are working for, understand that company's business. How do they make money? How does the business process work? The nuances of the entire business process. Because then either you are in a data role or an application role, tech role, CXO role, you will be successful. The second skill is the another D is design thinking. So once you get domain knowledge and be very good at it, also develop your skill on design thinking. These are the two skills, if you can continuously stay ahead of for next 10 years, the technology disruption will be your friend and not your enemy.
Any more thoughts on this, sir?
Very interesting. Rahul, you want to add? Else I can just share a little bit, because this is a very personal question to my journey as well. So
Go ahead. Please go ahead.
sure. So see, I think I can tell you with my journey, definitely I have been a hardcore, algorithm and mathematical statistics grad, writing algorithm for a long tenure. And I used to always laugh. Definitely my career was not impacted because I was growing as well as the MBA chaps were growing. So after 6 or 7 years, I decided that, okay, I should do the MBA because, and that was the little bit at a time when I thought of something is missing in my execution capabilities. And let me tell you, I have worked with the companies, they have hated the MBAs the most. Okay. So now you have to take it with a pinch of salt, that what do you learn in 2 years, right? And I cannot tell you better than what Vikram has shared about how you're going to be relevant, right? So he has given you the best suggestion how you can be relevant, right? And I too classify your skills as hard skills and soft skills. I've seen the teams while I was building a couple of the internal data science consulting team from the scratch, or some of the role was a scale up roles. So the extreme friction and then lack of because everybody, you can imagine, they were the best talent coming from the top of their colleges and the best of the institution in the country you can imagine, right? So still the productivity and the kind of problem solving were very compromised, right? So I think as an MBA, you go through a full cycle of learning the ecosystem of the business. So use it well. Neither you're going to be the finance expert, marketing expert, supply chain expert, but you're learning everything. And imagine data digital is transforming every area. And as Vikram said, that your technology will fly out within quick years, right? Within 2 years, you will see that, okay, there's another programming language that you are required to learn, right? So if you go with the framework of your hard skills and soft skills, hard skills are all algorithm, technology, programming, your high performance computing capabilities that you have to keep learning, relearning. And like I think is that be the student of the technology for your life, right? So that is going to be there. But what you can keep building is the human centric approach, and I think the design thinking capabilities, which is going to bring, how you build empathy to the users, right? And your users are not only consumers, but definitely everybody in the organization who are your stakeholders from the different function and the leaders as well, right? So how you're going to bring your people capability to bring diverse skills and the people of different mindset together. So as an MBA, I think this is the charismatic capability, I call it, because not everybody can just learn by reading the book or some of the frameworks, but you to really practice it and build over the years, right? So your ability towards the data to translate into your business storytelling, or how you convert, the very, I would say that a blank and dull numeric and computational values, p values, probability value into your business interpretation. So I think these are the skills which takes a lot of time. And let me tell you, if you ask me, still I'm building up those skills, and I feel that as an MBA, you can have the sensitiveness towards learning it, and you can be very well keeping yourself in the other shoes, that what is the difficulties they are facing, why I'm telling the simple thing but they're not accepting, but for you to bring into their shoes to solve that problem. So I think as an MBA, and I think the first time I convinced management that we should hire some MBAs to drive more efficiencies and our product more consumer centric. So I think you have a very great role to play, and focus on soft skills as much as you can. Build your data storytelling, the collaborative skills, how you can translate computation into the business insights, and simplistic language to the CXOs, where you can communicate what is happening in the business and what you're seeing, the trends, patterns in your algorithm and data, and what you should do to make it better and more impactful. So I think these are the capabilities, not easy to learn. So as an MBA, I think my advice would be to focus on these things, and I'm pretty sure Rahul may share a few more from his side as well.
I think all of you have already summarized most of the things. I also support the same stuff, that there are certain things which are relatively less creative, and hence GPTs and of the world may be able to solve, or LLMs of the world may be able to solve it sooner. But I think there are a lot of things, as I think Shiv mentioned, about the soft skills part of it, or the creative part of it, or simplifying problems, or using the existing resources to the best, and all of that, I think are some of the things which are really, really relevant. One more thing which I'll add, very similar to what Vikram said, I think don't see any of these technologies as something which is against somebody. I still feel that I think we should open-heartedly accept and start utilizing these things as much as we can to make ourselves efficient. I think that is the best way. Because I think these technologies will keep on coming. There will be ways with which we have to adopt it, and figure out a way to use it for the benefit of the larger community.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for reminding us the importance of design thinking and the balance between hard skills and soft skills, and most importantly, of being curious. Now, we'll open the podium for question and answer session. Mrinal will take over it.
Yes, Manish, don't be so selfish that you are asking your own set of questions. So with that, keeping that in mind, so the floor is now open for the questions, and you may raise your hand or use the chat box to type in your questions.
Looks like we need an icebreaker.
Yeah, Ishika, you can go ahead.
Hello to the esteemed panelists here. My question would be like, I coming from an engineering background, I started using GitHub to get code references, to refine my code, learn better. So introducing an OpenAI concept in GitHub, or artificial intelligence, are we not losing the human touch, or the communications we used to do in GitHub, like code sharing? We used to like collaborate with the people from different part of the world to refine our code knowledge, everything. But if we are more shifting towards an artificial intelligence and OpenAI concept, we are losing this communication, and there will be some gaps created in the initial years of learning.
Shall I take a stab at it? It's GitHub anyway, so I think should be able to answer that.
Yes, sir.
Aisha, thank you. Great question, right? I hear that question a lot. You have to step out of your current position where you're looking at yourself from an engineering graduate, a programmer, and obviously very worried and concerned about your future. And take a step back and put yourself in business leader's position. leaders who are engineering leaders and carrying a team of software engineers, right? And I speak to such leaders like CTOs, chief technology officers, chief digital officers a lot on a daily basis. And consistently, what I hear from them is that they are under tremendous pressure about the expectation from the business, because the business are getting disrupted really fast. And those business teams are looking at these engineering teams to quickly deliver new business capability, new technology capability. Many of the engineering leaders on this panel as well, right? And they can vouch for it. The pressure is tremendous. It's only going up. But their budgets are not going up. Their headcounts are not going up. So there's a pressure to do more with less. And when you ask these engineering leaders that, how are you being able to do more with less? The situation has been terrible. There is always a skill gap and experience gap, no matter how rockstar team you have. It can be a team of 20 engineers or it can be a team of 200 engineers. There is always a skill and experience gap. And that gets in the way of these engineering teams' ability to deliver to the business. And one thing that we can vouch you for, if you see the history of GDP over last 200, 300 years across the world, one thing that has been consistent, and because you are MBA graduate, you'll be able to relate it to it better than the programmers, right? GDP growth happened because human productivity went up throughout history. That is one thing that has remained constant, and that is one thing that will remain constant for next 100 years as well. Our individual productivity is only going to increase. That is the only way to increase our own per capita income. That is the only way to increase the nation's productivity and overall global productivity. Technology has been always enabling it. When steam engine came, when power came, when cars came, when electricity came, when computers came, every technology just made human beings more productive. AI is just another thing that is happening right now, right? So it's just a productivity shock that we are having. And this shock has been a gift for business who had to deliver more for less. What we are seeing, developers who had been wasting so much of their activity into less value-added work can now be delegated to technology, can be delegated to AI. AI suddenly made a lot of work that we used to do on a daily basis low value-added work. And now that can be delegated so that we humans being can free up our time and focus on more value-added work. And that is the only way for society to make progress, organization to make progress. And that is what is happening at this point. So do not worry. Your need for your cognitive ability to be used in a very productive work is not going down. It's actually going up. It's just that you will be spending that mental energy not into lesser value added kind of activity that computer can do better than you, but you will go and do something else that you only can do better.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really something very explaining about the situation because it was concerning for me, but you explained it really well. I feel more confident hearing to you that I won't be able, my time won't be wasted in less value-added work.
So when the cars came, people said they will lose touch of traveling on bullock carts because they lose, that interaction. When calculators came, people said you will forget how to calculate because every work is being done by calculators. When Excel came, people said all accountants are going to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, but now financing has improved. The accounting part has become analytics. You are able to transform from one place to another. Are we losing a physical touch here because just we are doing this online because of the availability of technology? I don't think so. Okay, we might never meet. I think I'm seeing Bikram after almost 4 years.
Yes.
We used to meet in person, but I'm seeing him after 4 years. I don't think we are losing touch, but yes, some part give and take. How many of you don't use your phones at home and talk to your parents when you're there? You don't, because that is what technology is enabling you to do.
And on the GitHub content, I'll probably share a funny.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Amit. Just a funny anecdote, right? And this is something our CEO Satya Nadella says that had there not been spell check capability in Microsoft Word, he won't be employable. And I think that is the value that AI would be adding to all of us. Like I won't be employable without spell check and without many of the Copilot features that I now started using on a daily basis before my customer meeting.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
We have another question in the chat. Like, how do you stay up to date with the latest advancements in analytics? And do you recommend any resources for students to do the same?
I just shared a podcast while we were talking. So listen to these podcasts, follow few guys. It's a standard thing. I think you guys are more used to social media than few of us here in the panel. So uh, I think that's the only way to go about doing it.
Right. I think I may just add on this. The one is definitely there are different skills, right? And different skills can be learned different way for different people, right? So I think some of the tech areas possibly you should be definitely going through the some of the latest release of your the research or the white papers which comes. Look at the algorithms which are in many of the global competition kaggle and all. People are competing, participating, and so on. However, now on the many of the business side of the knowledge, possibly be part of the couple of hackathon or couple of the business meet which happens. Possibly you can, like in the industry, we definitely go and meet the different vendors, partners, to learn about what is happening across the globe. Because imagine that you are boxed into one type of industry solving a few select problems. You're not looking everything across the globe, but you need to keep a check, because you never know what can really transform your business in a better way. So definitely in the industry we practice to meet many of the vendors, partners, consulting firms, and we do the sessions and we try to find out the synergies, possibly as a student, and when you turn professional, expand your network. I think my mode of learning have been learning through people, and definitely 50% you can say that reading books and the research paper which comes into the ecosystem. But definitely your network will really enable you to learn something very non-interesting thing also, because imagine some of the algorithm which has come up and I may not be able to decode it end to end. But imagine my new data scientist, the young data scientist, he has just written a paper on it and possibly joining the organization. So like build your the ecosystem. It can be your juniors, it can be your seniors, it can be your industry peers. So I think spread out your these neurons and neural connections so that you keep updated on everything which is happening around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to build on what Shiv shared. Right. So one way is on a personal level, you are reaching out to folks via LinkedIn or other platforms. You need to know how to reach out, how to get connections, kind of build up, and then how to extract information and value and learn along the way. Right. Basis the bandwidth, time, and your own maybe our own hesitance to ask questions and kind of interact right at your level. So I think the smoother way it has happened bulk of the industry is like there are NASCOM memberships and forums for the IT side, and they extend to colleges and students. Likewise, on the analytics side, we have forums in Analytics India magazine. There is 3AI, there is Analytics Vidya, right? Those forums are allowing you not to get like a white paper level of information or like industry leading information, but at least cohort of user who contribute to that end, right? And they also they talk about what transformation they're bringing to business by live case studies in their live recording sessions which you can have access to. Then you also are reaching out to them, right? So there is a forum through which you are reaching out to them. You have access to their content upfront, and then you can ask probing or kind of a second level question on top of it to gain more understanding and knowledge. So I highly recommend seeking memberships of such forums.
I think I'll just add one more point because I think that keeps on coming while I interact with a lot of college students. Honestly, I feel like because in this whole era of data and era of news, blogging sites, podcasts, and all of that, I think there is a lot of distraction that is already available, right? It is very hard to focus on only one thing. So honestly, I see this as a less of a problem that hey, where to read, where to read, and where to get all this information. I think the most important piece here is what to read and what to know. So my honest suggestion here is that build a very focused strategy at what you want to extract from different platforms, because there is a hell lot of distraction that is available on multiple forums and channels. So you need to pick and choose. First, build your strategy and create and try and figure out certain focused things. It can be certain blogs, specific blogs. It can be certain forums. It can be different communities. It can be different networks. But first, build your strategy. What you want to achieve out of all of that, and then try and avoid all the distractions.
I'll probably add to that. So one, an insight I'm going to share with all of you who are still in your MBA course. You still have time to study. Once you leave your universities and get into your profession, you will not have time, because I already told you, your bosses are under pressure to do more with less. They will make sure you are also doing more with less, and you won't have enough time. And as you are growing up, many of you will also start having additional family commitments, additional responsibilities. So for next 20 years, amount of available spare time that you have, that you can put into your learning and education, is going to be under tremendous pressure. And I see that as I interact with the software developer community who are in the experience range of 7 years to 20 years, right? They do not have enough time to stay ahead. And there is an oversupply of information, like Rahul said. So much of noise, separating the signal out is very difficult. And again, the jobs today, the boundaries are blurred. They're not so well defined. So many of them are expected to be a little bit of a polymath. So what you learn, what you don't learn, it's a massive challenge. What I will try to do here is I will give you 2 strategies. If you can try to follow that, hopefully it will help you to learn enough, even with a very limited time that you are going to have, right? Number 1, this is something we follow in Microsoft formally. We tell all our employees to follow that, because everybody comes and saying that I want to learn, I want to get trained, I want to do my skill development. So how should I go about it? Follow a 70-20-10 model. 70% of your learning should come from your on-job training. There's no point of just learning about 10,000 things when you're not applying it on a daily basis. Rather flip it. Whatever you have to do on a daily basis, focus on learning that. And for that, there is more information that's available right now than it has ever been, right? So you have YouTube, you have so many courses everywhere. So 70% on-job learning, 20% learning from what Vinamra and Shiv had called out, learning from your mentors and learning from your network, learning from other people. Okay. And 10% only focus on formal learning, like this kind of courses, trainings, Upgrad, Udemy, Coursera, those kind of things. The problem is we come from an Indian academic background where we put tremendous emphasis on the 10%, not on the other 70 and 20%. But going forward, those are going to be a primary vehicle of learning. So follow that and be comfortable with it. The second strategy is becoming a T-shaped professional. So you know how T looks like, a vertical line and a horizontal line. In every job that you do, there'll be one area of deep skill that will be required. So that is where you fully applied 70-20-10. But you will also need a horizontal set of capabilities, because jobs are changing. You probably will be in the same role back to back for several years, but the job you will be doing in the same role is going to be different every year, right? Hence, you have to have a larger horizon. So now doing this MBA, you already made yourself a T-shaped professional compared to somebody who didn't do MBA. They look like an I, but you have added this horizontal layer. Now you understand sales, you understand marketing, you understand finance, you understand strategy. So this is where absorbing so much of information from newspaper, from multiple different, like, keep learning, but don't invest so much of time on it. Spend your time and making sure that you're a balanced T-shaped individual, no matter what you are doing, when you are doing. So these are the 2 strategies. Hopefully it will help you to deal with a super compressed time and tremendous need to learn.
We can see multiple raised hands. So with that, Satakshi, you can go ahead with your question.
Thank you, Rinal. So my question would be from Shiv sir. Sir, how is AI and technology revolutionizing the beauty industry, and what are the major challenges which you guys are facing when it comes to like the technologies and AI?
Hi, thank you for the question, Satakshi. So I think the one of the very interesting use case we did with Microsoft itself. So at the Teams, if you're going for a meeting, you can get without applying, the real cosmetics. You can choose the what shade of lipstick you want to apply, and you can go on the team. So this is very interesting, and I can tell you a couple of examples. Now you can go in a couple of salons. They can take your scalp images and they can recommend you what is the problem with your, let's say, scalp texture, the hair texture, and then that can recommend you the certain applications, right? We are also doing a lot of the facial recognition based products, which is helping the users to customize. Or if you go to any of the Kiehl's store, which is very less in India, there they can take, the Kiehl's is a L'Oreal brand, so they would be in the doctor's coat, and they will take the some of the pictures and the images, and they can tell you the what is the dryness percent in your skin, and they can apply what you should apply to overcome those situations. So imagine these are the ways where data digital algorithms are transforming the way the beauty is dealt. And we are called as a beauty tech company. We don't call just as a beauty company. We are heavily invested in building our data ecosystem. We are investing big into the all the tech which can revolutionize the product which we are launching in the market as well. So I think these are a lot of transformation in the last 5 to 10 years. L'Oreal have been known as the front runner wherever the the building the next generation solutions in terms of the beauty is required. And we call the beauty, create the beauty that moves the world, right? That's the tagline we have, which means that we are very much invested on the data and tech side. In terms of challenges, definitely this is a 110-year-old company, right? And if it is a 110-year-old company, you carry a large masses of the older technologies, the people who are required to be upskilled. They have to be more up to speed in adopting these technology and solutions. So those are the few areas where we are working very intensively to drive this transformation. Yeah, hope this answers your question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So due to paucity of time, I think we won't be able to take any more questions. But we will make sure to forward all remaining queries of the students on the respective mail IDs of our panelists. Over to you, Manish.
So with that, I would like to officially adjourn this amazing session with a vote of thanks. We, the Industry Interaction Committee, would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to our panelists for taking out time and gracing us with their presence in this event and making it a resounding success. We are grateful for your contribution to the event, and we will certainly take many insights from it. As a humble token of appreciation, we are proud to present you with a certificate acknowledging the planting of a tree through our partners Grow Trees. Mrinal, if you can please share the certificates, please. Thank you, Mrinal. As we speak, these certificates are being shared with you on your emails. We hope the tree signifies the value that our industry leaders have towards the growth of our country. As this conclave comes to a close, let it be a beginning of fresh inspiration, new connections, and a world of possibilities waiting for each one of you. We thank you all once again, and we hope to continue our association in the future as well. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. All the best.
Thank you.
Students are requested to wait for a while.